Hello and welcome to another episode of Challenging Conspiracies with Crafty Keela. Today's video will focus on the language used by conspiracy theorists to garner and maintain support. This series is a sociological look at how and why conspiracy theorists put forward their arguments. This is an important component in understanding why their ideas sometimes stick. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell to receive updates on my latest videos. Many people entering the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories ask the question on first glance, how could anyone actually believe that? Today we're going to look at the strands of language that are used in the different stages of the Globe Denial movement. I will draw from other groups in our society in the last 100 years to investigate why it is people latch onto the ideas surrounding the shape of the Earth in particular. The types of strands that we will look at work alongside each other. These are the reasonable arguments and the more aggressive nature. We will look at both in a little detail. Before a new idea can be accepted or rejected by a susceptible host, the individual must be at a crossroads in their life. This would create the openness to seek out a new explanation to an issue that no longer makes sense to that host. At this stage, we enter what's known as the soft sell. These are the reasonable, rational, and articulate speakers of a movement. They typically start their approach with "I was just like you, so I understand," or an equivalent. This approachable, positive attitude is used to lure people into a sense of normalcy. With a calm sense of confidence, this articulate individual or group of individuals begin to create what's known as a new reality. They do this by agreeing on how outlandish they sound, with the aim to soften any layers of defense a vulnerable person might have. This new open discussion style creates more of a conversation rather than condescension. To seal the relationship, the speaker will often suggest that the host leaves and does their own research or experimentation. The confidence of appearing not to need to win the argument outright is a honey trap, aimed to leave a lasting impression that will entice the host to seek out the speaker. The next step in tempting a target is for the conspirator to propose an external enemy. They will use a mix of passive aggression and victimhood language to set out this enemy. They are lying to us. This is one of the main examples. The purposefully vague notion of they, mixed with the us, serves to create an invisible wall between the speaker, the host, and the rest of society. This usually prompts a response, "Who are they?" This gives the conspirator the invitation needed to explore possible enemies. In the case of Globe Deniers, the enemies are science and governments. People have already accepted that governments lie, as discussed in the first video of this series, and may not have in-depth knowledge of everyday treaties unless they have worked within that area. And due to a decline in religious worship following scandal after scandal, the speaker will attempt to associate the recent negativity of religion with science. The conspirator will exclaim that science is the new religion. They will claim that believing in scientists is the same as believing in a preacher from a pulpit. The blind faith argument is rolled out due to the lack of conscious thought most people give to science or complicated math in their day-to-day lives. We will explore more about science and religion in a future video, but it is worth mentioning here as it is a way of further isolating a person from the society around them. Due to the scandals, many people do not want to admit to having blind faith in anything. Globe Deniers use a combination of cynicism and emotion to appeal to their audience that blind faith in science is bad. Here lies the opening for creating a new narrative and thereby a new reality. The next step that needs to be discussed here is peer pressure. Having successfully created a new reality for a susceptible individual, the aim then is to immerse the person in the community of like-minded people. It is at this point that we have a divergence of the official or soft sell attitudes. The host is invited to watch hour upon hour of debate, where their side is being attacked constantly and must defend themselves. The louder, more aggressive personalities begin to emerge at this point, with live streams day and night, and the constant victimhood argument creates a bubble of contempt and fear. The idea that we are under attack serves as a rallying cry of a shared trauma and therefore a need for a solidified response. Again, building on an emotional framework, there is a confirmation of a very real enemy. This tactic has been used in military warfare for decades and serves to reinforce the idea that the whole world is against you, and only those in the conspiracy community like and understand the person. This embedding of negative experiences with the world can lead to personal relations being severed. The more dangerous elements of this aggressive nature to peer pressure is that once consumed with the new reality, the host can be manipulated into doing dangerous or harmful activities, if the strong personality suggests it. So how can we aim to combat the language used by conspiracy theorists and their sway with vulnerable people? With the age of the internet, it has never been easier to share misinformation on a large scale. This also works for correct information. It has been found that the most important element in deprogramming someone from an intense form of social control is to discuss ideas in a non-confrontational manner. This reassures the person that there are those in what is considered to be an enemy camp who are supportive and understanding, while not willing to allow destructive ideas to pass unchallenged. One way to achieve this is to request sources from the individual. A favourite phase of conspiracy fans is, if you read, if you research. Well, ask them for the website, the report, the study, or the book that they get their information from. This shows that you are not simply dismissing the ideas they are putting forward and that you're taking them seriously. You are willing to investigate what is important to them and report back. Return the favour with sources of your own. Another way is if the person is in the same physical locality to you, agree to a time and day to do a small experiment with the person. Also start thinking about personal stories that you can relate to each issue they raise, and remind them that trust is not a weakness. A break from the dominant mainstream ideas had to come with seeing fallibility in the official structures. So the solution must come from seeing the new reality or the leadership who promote it as equally fallible. Having some distance and time away from the new reality can also help the host see things a little bit differently and undo some of the negative or fearful outlooks on society as a whole. Everyday interactions with people in the fields that are misunderstood by the host can also provide clarity. This is why the Debunk community is so important as a visible, approachable force. This alternative perspective is here to be used by anyone in the Globe community and for those seeking clarity on various ideas. I will link a few channels in the description that aim to undo the damage done by conspiracy theorists. The language used by conspiracy theorists, Globe Deniers in particular, is one based on emotion. The attempt to create emotional ties serves to create a common struggle and therefore a common bond with their target audience. Step by step, they immerse their audience in an ever-intensifying echo chamber. This can be very damaging to everyday, real relationships, which can leave the target feeling that the only positivity is coming from that community. The harm that leading Globe Deniers can do is not irreparable. We as human beings are strong, resilient, and have an enormous capacity to recover from trauma, be that significant or minimal, physical or emotional. The truth of the conspiracies is that they are not about truth. They are not about reality. They are about emotional manipulation following trauma towards an official narrative and equating everything as the same. Or that one lie means that everything is a lie. When a movement is based solely on emotion and feeling, there can be no evidence or proof. Nothing will ever be good enough as long as new information cannot be accepted. The strong image of a very real enemy creates a real ice wall, one of a guarded and fearful nature. It is everyone's duty at every level of society to attempt to break the cycle of fear and paranoia that the world of conspiracies create. In the next video, I will look at the charge by Globe Deniers that science is the new dominant religion. I will explore the link between flat Earth and religious faith and why they pose a negative view on belief in science. If you would like to support my channel, there are a few ways you can. Click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates. There are more ways to support this content as well as links to other valuable content creators in the description below. Thank you for your support and stay safe.